Good day. I'm Gia from Maribou K-12 Engaging Web Apps. On behalf of Marie, Linda, and I, we'd like to introduce you to this training session of what a student will see when he or she enters Typing Pal online. Let's get started. The student knows that he or she has used the correct URL to enter that when he or she sees either the school's name or the district's name somewhere here. If you have not given your student a username and password, you can have them self-register using that access code that would have been shared with you. Note, however, that you should have in your teacher section, the teacher needs to have created the group so that when the student uses this access code, the child can log him or herself or link him or herself up to the correct teacher. So if you've already created your usernames and passwords for the student, they put that information there and they log in. They would come to this page, this home tab. There are 4 tabs in Typing Pal Online. So the home tab, if they'll ask, are you new here? Please make sure that students go through this initial advice. There are 7 steps that the children should really pay attention to, like focusing on accuracy more than speed, watching their position, proper lighting. Please go through the theory of keyboarding with your students. They can have the option to change their parameters. They can change the avatar or the counselor that walks them through Typing Pal Online. I know that this may seem like not a big deal to teachers, but it is a big deal for students. It gives them the authority to choose which person they'd like to go through this program with. If you had that the students could change their goals, this is where they would do so. But if you've had that they cannot change them or they have to do it in a set order at a set speed, it will automatically notice they cannot click that. They have to work towards this. It has this email option. Please leave that blank because that's only if they lost their passwords. We would then send it to them. But now, teachers, you know how to change the student's password. So you save your settings. The first time students go into Typing Pal Online, they're asked to do an initial test. It's a grade baseline, so they do that test. I can look at my progress report and see that this particular student has finished step 4 and has not moved on to step 5. So I know that with Typing Pal, we have all these steps, 8 different steps with stepped activities. I can look at my icons and I see that this child has successfully completed these activities because that's what these eaten apples mean, and they've done the test that corresponds with those activities. I see that this child, because he's on capital Y and small y, this child has tried this activity but was not successful, activity 5.2. This is why there's a worm in this apple. Then I noticed that these are all the other activities underneath are grayed out. So the child cannot move forward with these activities until he or she has successfully completed this particular activity. So I'm going to be a student and I'm going to click on this. The first thing I notice is that the accuracy rate is at 95 words per minute. 95% accuracy and 7 words per minute. Now, your kids don't have to read that because we want them to key as accurately and as quickly as possible. But just noting that's the goal for this particular capital Y, small y activity. Notice we're modeling for them what they would do. So we're asking kids to do the exact same thing. Just tap on that and don't press it, but just practice how to do that capital Y, small y. When they're ready, they press and they do it. Notice that when they press the shift and the Y, it automatically now switches to the small y. We're modeling for them what to do. You have them practice that a few times. When they're ready to move on, let them press it, and then it will take them automatically to the correct section. Notice that in this zone, the teacher has said that the children will do the activity using this animation. Had the cartoon animation been selected, the child would see that there. If the child wants to see nothing, note that he or she can hide that option, the animation option. So now I'm going to go and practice this particular activity. For the children, there's very little sound in Typing Pal. So I can type away, and as long as I'm typing well, I have no issues. But note, if I were to make an error, like I made that capital Y, I made an I instead of a capital Y, I cannot move on until I actually correct that error. Once I correct that error, then I can go on. Note too that with the fingers, if I make an error, it automatically shows you which finger I should be using. You'll see too that letters that we've done before come up because we want to maintain the skills that the children have already learned. So as long as I keep on doing this without issues, I will not have any problems. We model for them what they should do, and then they will have to correct that error. Once the child has completed these two screens, they usually have two screens to do, they get automatic feedback in terms of accuracy and speed. If they were accurate, this apple will then turn into an Eden apple like this one, and this apple will turn into a red apple, which means that the child can now move on to the next activity. Note this environment is the K-5 environment. There is the environment for the middle school students and the high school students that look more sophisticated than this. So older students don't have to be worried. They're in a baby-ish environment. So note for this activity, they had to, that 5.2, exercise 5.2, they had to key at 6 words per minute. But note the child can always go back and do any of the other activities they've done before. Notice for JF, they're expected to be keying at 13 words per minute because we would expect them to be moving towards mastery of the JF. This is why this particular activity will be hit at 13 words per minute. Remember, a child can do the activities numerous times because it grows exponentially. They will never have a repeat performance of any particular activity. So we encourage the children to spend most of their time in this particular activity. Note, however, that after the children have completed 8 characters and this text, this Move On tab will automatically be activated. They can now have access to this because before then it would have been grayed out. Teachers, if you had added your own text, like your Bible verses, school, song, spelling words, and you imported them into Typing Pal Online, it will be in this Move On section. Note that this Move On, these activities, in these ones, students are exposed to multiple letters that they may not have learned. So please, if you can have them doing this after step 7 would be a good thing, but the children are always free to go in here and learn because we really want them to be spending more time in this particular area. What is impressive for me about this improvement section or this Move On section is this improvement tab. It keeps track of all of the letters that the students have or the characters that the students have problems with in terms of accuracy and speed. There's always a letter that's going to be a gold medal finger and a finger that needs some help. So in terms of accuracy, if the child wants to work on accuracy, they can click and they will then be taken to activities that will help them with accuracy. If they want to work on speed, they can click here and work on activities to do with speed, or they can work on both. Note that Typing Pal has games. There are only 2 games, and we keep that consciously so, because we know that the learn activity is short and sweet and keeps kids engaged. They want to continue doing the learn activities. But They can always go in and do these games when they're at home, or if you have free Fridays or they have some free time, they can always go and play these games because they are fun. Note, however, they're not linked to what letters the students have learned at that up to a certain point in time. They're going to be exposed to all of the letters. So again, use the game features or this particular tab judiciously. Okay? And finally, in terms of results, we give you an idea in terms of this tab accuracy, how well the kids are done. Notice this trophy finger, this gold medal finger is for this letter A. This little finger is doing really well. But note that this third finger, the D, needs a little bit of help. So this is why that has this exclamation point right there. Notice D is one of the least accurate fingers for this particular student. So remember, in that move on section, the children can practice these least accurate fingers. I can see for the little ones, they can see that this happy face is green. So this is a finger that's doing really well. These yellow faces mean that the child is still doing okay, because I know that if this were a red, angry face, it means that the child has not done this for that particular finger well. But this child doesn't have to worry. He or she is okay enough. I click on the speed tab, and it tells me, hey, there are 3 fingers this child is doing well with in terms of speed. There are some fingers that need some help, and there are no really bad fingers that really need a lot of help. Notice again, there's a gold medal finger and that finger that needs that letter L that needs a bit more help. Finally, there's a log. We keep track of everything that the kids have completed when they're in Typing Pal Online. Notice, and parents would love to see this. They can see what their child has done when they're in Typing Pal. They see that when there's a worm in that apple, that means that that child has tried that activity but was not successful. I see that this envelope means that this child has done a move-on activity. I see that this eaten apple means that the child has successfully completed that activity, and this basket means that the child did a test. I see that the child can see the child has access, or the child's parent has access to the child's most recent scores, the best scores, or all the scores. Once the child sees that, or the parent sees that, you can see whether you want for the exercises, the tests, or the practice text. If you only want to see for certain exercises, you can do that as well. You click on what you want and you will get what you want. I can click on the test and you will see that the tests are automatically generated in there. Based on what you've asked, you will see that we give you your average accuracy and the speed, your average speed, and that's based on all of the activities you've previously done on those particular things. Okay, same thing, you'll see that things have changed when you add the test scores in there. So thank you so much for walking with me through the student section of Typing Pal Online. Remember, you can call Marie, Linda, or I, and we will be happy to assist you. Our number is 888-740-7119, extension 701, 702, or 703. We look forward to hearing from you, and we wish you all the best as you use Typing Pal Online.